Hey guys, Brassfax here. I've been a professional LARPer for the better part of my adult life, and this channel's history is mostly me trying things out. Long range, night vision, CQB, gun builds, concepts, POUs, all in nauseating detail. My first love was actually backpacks. I don't know what it is, maybe it was my long time in the Boy Scouts and then hiking and rucking afterwards, but I love backpacks. The difference between a solid built, well-packed pack and a bad one is the line between a good, successful trip and a very bad one. And boy, I've had a lot of bad ones. What the fuck? Despite my affinity for backpacks though, while I have sorted out my rucksack, I have sorted out my sort of enhanced EDC pack, I even have this little man purse thingy, but one thing I seemingly can't solve is assault packs. I buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, blah, 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 blah. I have restless bag syndrome. So that's the show today. I'm going to go through the assault packs I've bought over the last couple of years, why I did, and why I ultimately moved on to something else, giving you an insight to my complete and utter insanity. For the uninitiated, or for those that think a bag is a bag is a bag, what exactly is an assault pack? Or I guess more relevantly, what do I think an assault pack is? What do I want out of an assault pack? The goal for me is essentially to plus up on food, water, ammo, and extra mission critical items like batteries, notation, rain gear, and things we'll consume over continuous action for a roughly 6 to 24 hour period. In theory, we can tough it out for more, but that's not really the design objective here. We're trying to not cross over into the realm of a rucksack with a full suite of endurance items. While one or two of these things might come along situation dependent, we're avoiding sleep systems, tents, water filtration, cooking, and more. The goal is to shed enough weight and bulk that we can travel significantly faster and further in a given time frame, while still being nimble enough to fight without needing to ditch our pack in a way that you are basically obligated to do with a 50-pound rucksack. Why is my voice getting increasingly more gravelly? Be it a day in the mountains, just hiking for fun or physical benefit, training exercises with the boys, or a night match like, say, I don't know, Moon's Out, where I want to keep all my food, water, and extra ammunition on me, but still stay mobile. This, of course, translates to far-flung preparedness scenarios where things are bad enough that we are running, full rifle and kit, and we want to do excursions that are sufficiently far away from the home base that extra supplies are prudent, but we don't want the speed and mobility penalties that a rucksack can face.
What bling is this?
Ooh, oh, that's Cassie.
Oh, look at this handsome fucking man.
I miss my Cassie. How's it going, man?
Much more handsome than.
People still have them,
I know.
Tough crowd.
Wow. They've been really mean to me this week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's reverse bullying week.
Well, you're away from your cat, so.
He deserves it. He does.
I'm already in an emotionally fragile state.
He bullies me all the time. This is the only way I can. He doesn't play Helldivers with me anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Thus here is the Mystery Ranch 2DAP, or the 2-day assault pack, though don't let that fool you. Without major resupply, this is less than 24-hour pack, usually less, so it's like a 0.75 DAP. I reviewed this and used this thing way back at the channel's start. I have a good solid 2, maybe 3 years of running one of these. Despite being marked and designed as more of an EDC pack with a tactical trim, it's actually not bad as an assault pack. Trim design that compresses gear inward instead of having the pack grow outward like a lot of rucksacks, so the pack actually stays relatively tight to your body and it doesn't really bob around back and forth. I don't really know how to describe this succinctly, but if you use packs, you know what I'm talking about here. And it's got a beefy back paneling, allowing it to be fully stuffed without actually turning into an oversized beach ball. The downsides with the pack, well, it's always going to be at capacity because despite the listed 27 liters, it behaves a lot smaller than that, since the top lid expands inward and you're almost necessitated to have water on the inside of the pack, either in the form of a bottle or bladder, because the external multi-purpose pouches that are meant to hold your water don't work at all. Water bottles in these will regularly jettison out under heavy movement, and then you either, no longer have water, or you're doing the Division 2 LARP, where I swear to God, the entire, character design in that game is just carabinering as much crap to the outside of your backpack as possible. The inside of the pack, purely notional, doesn't do anything. All on the outside. Does anyone remember that game? No? Okay, anyway, back to bag facts. So I like this backpack, but I kind of wanted something else. This right here is the Crossfire DG3, a long-standing pack on the Brassfax expanded universe. They no longer make the DG3, it's now the CF3. It's functionally a very similar pack, almost identical, just with a couple changes here and there. Brassfax, you absolute buffoon,
you complete imbecile. This is an assault pack video. That is a rucksack. And yes, you are correct. My lord, hear me out. I originally bought this to be a rucksack, and that is its primary purpose, to be a rucksack. But I found pretty early on, especially in the summer months, if I jettison a lot of the rucksack things, like the sleepwear, the water filtration, a ton of extra water for multiple days, I can actually very much tighten this bag down with the with all of the external stuff to be relatively cinched down to the point where it behaves like a assault pack, at least somewhat. And that honestly is somewhat appealing because now we don't have a number of packs, we have one pack. So if in the sort of assault role just from home, I just leave it underpacked, I cinch everything down, and it behaves like in a normal assault pack. If I'm out in the field doing sort of a tactical ruck, whatever the hell that means, right? I can get to my camp, I can unload sort of the sustainment items and just leave some critical items in here, cinch it down, and then, push to, a drill area or whatever you want to call it, do a drill, come back to camp, put all the stuff back in. This works. This works without question. But is it good? I mentioned with the 2DAP that we don't really like, or we would prefer bags that don't slosh back and forth, and this pack absolutely wants to expand outward to accommodate more gear. So even when you cinch it all the way down and don't have much gear in it, there's so much extra nylon that, yeah, especially since it's also on an external frame. So it's even more slosh prone when underpacked. On top of that, it's just, relatively speaking, not that heavy of a rucksack. In the grand scheme of things, it's about 5 pounds, but 5 pounds is a lot for a assault pack that can be easily half that, if not less. So yeah, love this pack, still use it to this very day. I kind of needed a real assault pack though.
The logical step forward here was just to get the size smaller with the CF2. But I couldn't really bring myself to spend $450 hairs, only to end up with my DG3, but now 20% smaller. The CF2 is also still very much a rucksack-centric pack, not really a true assault pack, with large external suspension systems and a kidney strap. So against my better judgment, I got the size down from that, the CF1. The CF1 is Crossfire's take on the Eagle Industries Yote, which essentially is your generic video game red dot sight, but in pack form.
This is the Crossfire CF1. And I knew right from the get-go this was not the pack. Okay, bye, see ya. And I knew from experience this was not the pack I even kind of wanted. And then for some reason I bought it anyway. I don't know. I think I have assault pack induced psychosis or some shit like that. I don't know what happened. And even though this has a plastic backer, it's not enough to prevent the complete beach ballification of this pack. Further not helped by it's so damn small. Well, I do like the helmet sort of kangaroo pouch thingamabobber. The amount of times that I'm going to have a helmet and then not wear said helmet is actually relatively infrequent, especially since I do own a pretty decent ballistic helmet. So it's a nice feature to have, especially on a long hike in or a camp. Best example of how this just did not work at all is I went to the Utah Spark match, the long range match from a little bit ago, and all this thing had to do was carry one MRE, rain gear, and a little bit of water, enough water for a relatively, tough day, and ammunition for a long range match. So that's not even that much ammunition. And I gave up 2 stages in trying to schlep this thing around because it just couldn't carry all that stuff effectively. It was essentially a giant 2x4 brick. And I went back to the car, emptied this out, and put it into my Big Bang range bag, which is not easy to carry around, and we had to move around a good bit. And I'm just carrying this, thing on my shoulder instead. And yeah, that ended up working out way better. And I think that was the death knell of this bag at that point.
This video was brought to you by Venture Surplus, and since we're talking about bags, the US Army Assault Pack. You can snag one of these in pretty good shape for about $100 and $200 if you want a basic brand spanking new one. But who doesn't want the sweet, sweet must of surplus gear? Mr. Beast at Home, but Mr. Beast at Home is actually better than Mr. Beast, Chris has been running one of these as his primary assault pack for years and loves it. Which feels a bit, sacrilegious, being a Marine and all. He should be using the Fiblay. Terrible user pack pairing aside, it's robust, it's got a good number of compartments, and it's designed to take the third best piece of surplus gear ever made, the USGI bandolier in the front compartment. Go to Venture Surplus and check them out.
Sup, ad section over. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this pack because in my Brassfax Assault Pack sort of adventure, I think I got bag envy of Chris running this one so much, and quite frankly, it's kind of a good bag. So yeah, of course, disclaimers with the U.S. Army Assault Pack. I am sponsored by Venture Surplus. You can get this on Venture Surplus. Paid and bought for by Big Surplus. It's Jover. Brassfax is a shill. Confirmed. But no, I actually really like this bag. I'm sort of, I like being very organized to the point where I get semi-uncomfortable when my backpack is just one gaping sort of bag-ussy and all my gear kind of just gets shoved in there, so when I need to get a thing, you kind of just reach in there and get it out. And boy, does this have compartmentalizations, which I love. So I actually really like this pack, despite having not run it for so long, and kind of dismissing it at first for just reasons, I don't know, elitism, right? You know, for starters, it's actually meant to be used as an army assault pack, so you don't have any EDC bullshit crammed in here. It's just all good compartments and not a single pen divider in sight. Amazing. Of course, it's got the large standard compartment, a sort of okay attempt at a backer to prevent the beach fallification, though unfortunately this does beach fall a little bit if you really stuff it. In the front, we have a second compartment. I tend to run sort of grab items in here, so MREs, snacks, maybe gloves, hats, whatever stuff that you want to take off and on. Extra layers will sometimes go in here, though that's reserved for the large apartment. It is coming down with rain. And then up front, I will typically have items that I need a quick access, but I don't typically go in and out. So for example, my helmet, sort of suspension system, if I want to external mount a helmet, a hard shell of some kind typically will live in here, but that's more or less it, because you can't really fit that much in here. There's a ton of buckles on the outside, maybe too many buckles on the outside. It's kind of an obnoxious snag hazard, but it's cool because you can kind of switch the configuration from a buckle over top or switch it to a buckle out front and then carry some extra equipment. And this thing can kind of flex into almost a, I'd say, I don't know how to call it, a light rucksack. It's not really a rucksack, but you know what I mean.
Unfortunately, I kind of want to replace this pack. If I can pretend for a second with some logic instead of just admitting this is restless bag syndrome, I think I didn't like how the bag behaved when it was fully packed, as it both tended to slosh around left to right, running around, as it doesn't have that sort of form-fitting nature that I described with the 2DAP, nor does it have an amazing backer, so it tends to beach ball a little bit. On top of that, there is no padding on the back. Yeah, I don't know, I'm probably just coping. Unfortunately, I saw the switchback on Google results, and my subconscious recognized it as the bag from Tarkov, so I had to, of course, have it. So here we are.
Holy good God, it is actually coming down a lot. For Utah, right? I know all you East Coasty, West Coasty boys are like, actually, that's not very much rain. Good time to shill the Venture Surplus hard shell sort of parka-twos, so keeps me nice and dry, even though I'm not wearing waterproof pants, so I'm soaked from the waist down. Anyway, that gets us to our final pack of the day. The Eberlestock, Eberlestock. We're kind of in the honeymoon phase with this thing. It's only been about 3 months of usage, though it's been 3 months of pretty hard usage. The Moon's Out match, where I completely subsisted off of this thing, right? You have to bring all your equipment with you. And I had close to 600 rounds of linked ammunition in this thing, and then another 400 rounds of linked ammunition in a secondary backpack. I had to carry all my water, all my food, my rain gear, my extra socks, all that stuff subsisted out of the single bag. And I actually ran all the stages that I ran with the belt fed. And that's some pretty heavy equipment. But because the suspension and padding on this bag is probably one of the better ones we've seen, it was actually relatively comfortable. So funnily enough, like the 2DAP, this is also in Tarkov, which I didn't even realize until much later, until I was like, actually had the bag equipped, and I'm like, wait a minute. That's the bag. So I don't know, maybe that's the number one determining factor of which bags I end up purchasing. But very much like the 2-day assault pack Mystery Ranch, this pack kind of pushes inward and is kind of sucks gear in. It doesn't tend to do that sloshing effect that I've described with a number of bags so far. And that's a feature I really like. In fact, when we open this bag up, it is very similar in design and philosophy to that Mystery Ranch 2DAP, except it is slightly larger. It also solves our water pouch situation right here in that it is actually properly sized and resizable while actually allowing you to tuck away neatly the bungee retention. We also have external pouches here on the sides for quick access on gear. I like my food and snacks and stuff in the front one because I'm going to be going in and out of that relatively quickly. Lesser but still quick accessible items like my gloves will go in the side pouch right here, and then all the other bulkier items go inside. One downside, once again, like the Mystery Ranch 2DAP, is that this is primarily advertised as an EDC bag. So we have a bunch of our EDC nonsense in here. Look at all those pen holders, amazing. But I use the top compartment primarily for mission-specific stuff that I add on to the given scenario, right? Because to me, an assault pack is not something you grab and go. It's going to be configured for what you're doing in that day or days or whatever it ends up being. So I'll probably a lot of times put night vision up here, extra cold weather sort of items like cold weather gloves or something like that, and hats. They'd be quick accessible. Maybe range finders, thermal devices, whatever goes into the top component. Overall, once again, we've kind of come full circle with the Mystery Ranch 2DAP. I really like that pack, but there were some small minor things that bugged me. This seems like a product improved version of that. But yeah, it's a pack. I mean, there's not too much else to say. I think that mostly is the video. So I'll see you guys same time, same place in about 6 months when I talk about the next $1,000 in backpacks I've gone through. Regardless, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Of course, the rain finally stopped.
Good morning, Nova. It appears we're snowed in.